Welcome, everybody, to the Scene Snobs podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and as you might have seen, I am a shaved and cut Scene Snob. Now, I needed the haircut, that is for sure. If anybody's been watching, it's been pretty nasty, but I did not mean to shave, but unfortunately I had to. It was one of those things that just kind of hit me by surprise, and I took the beard off. Now, I do that once every 6 months or so, just kind of reset everything, and I thought, I kind of shaved into the side of my face a little too much, trying to straighten out the sideburns, and I just realized, I'll just take it off and reset. So that's where I'm at for now. So hopefully you won't have to look at my ugly mug for too long. I'll get my beard back, but I am going to try and keep the hair short for a while because it definitely helps. With that being said, we are back with another episode of the Scene Snobs, and we have a really busy week. Some very cool stuff I'm going to go into. First things first, I want to talk about one of my favorite shows. Now, if you're not familiar with it, The Good Place has just had its series finale last week, and it was an NBC show that went on for 4 seasons, starring Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, and just a great cast of actors all together. And the premise, if you haven't watched it, is these 4 characters died, and they wake up and they go to the good place, as they call it. And over the course of 4 years, they're kind of put on a whirlwind adventure of trying to figure out what's going on, how life is kind of playing about and such. Not life, I use the term loosely in this show, but a lot of dramatic roles, very funny show, well acted. Everybody on the show is terrific. And they had the story go for 4 years. They stuck to it, and it ended. And they ended it beautifully. Everything kind of ties together well. It was one of those smart shows, like I would put up there with Arrested Development or 30 Rock or things like that. And they just did a really awesome job with the show. The series finale, for anybody who has seen it, I'm kind of review it. I don't want to spoil too much, but there are going to be kind of some spoilers. It deals with them finally having reached the destination they've been looking for in the afterlife, and then going beyond, and kind of how they have to deal with separating from each other in the afterlife. It is a beautiful twist, and really doesn't go in the direction that I thought it would. But I just thought it was absolutely terrific. Everybody acted perfectly and beautifully, and really pulled out a lot of emotions here. And every story made sense. All the endings to every story, every one of their stories made perfect sense. And you were cheering it on, like you were happy that's where it went. So, with that being said, that was the series finale of The Good Place. And I kind of want to talk about it, and I just thought it was a beautiful thing, and I can't say enough good things about this show. So if you haven't seen it, go check out The Good Place. If you've seen it and maybe fallen out of it or whatever, I say go back, because it really all comes around, and it's a beautiful story. So what a terrific series finale, and just done tremendously by everybody, acted tremendously by everybody, and written well, in the whole 9 yards. So sorry to see it go. It was emotional, but just a terrific show all around. I know I said terrific a lot, but it deserves it. So I'll change it up. Fantastic show all around. Now, we had Super Bowl just a few days ago. If anybody watched that, I know a lot of people watch for the commercials. I do myself, but I also like the football behind it. And we got a lot of very cool trailers. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff like that tonight. And the first ones I really want to touch down on, some of my favorite ones, were the Marvel Disney Plus shows that are coming out. So we had a trailer, like very short trailers for the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is the new show that, I'll go one by one with them, but the new show that follows, of course, Sam and Bucky. And how they're kind of living their lives now that Sam has had the moniker of Captain America passed on to him, and Bucky kind of like being his friend and guiding him along the way, and being there for support. So The things I've read about the premise, I will say, are it follows Sam training to be Captain America, and it feels like the government takes it away from him and gives it to somebody else. It's kind of like another super soldier, played by Wyatt Russell, who is Kurt Russell's son. If you didn't know, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. He's a terrific actor. If you watch Lodge 49 or Overlord or quite a few other things he's done, he is great. He looks just like his dad too, which is really kind of funky in a weird way, like a blonde version of his father. And a lot of mannerisms in the face and stuff like that. I don't have the strong jawline to pull it off because of this chin here, but they do. They have that Russell chin, and I'm very excited for him to be on the show and playing the role that he is playing. He is going to step in, and they're going to give him the role of Captain America, and he'll take it and run with it. But supposedly he's not such a good character, as it will turn out, and it's going to be the Falcon and Bucky have to take it back, because it rightfully Captain America passed it on to Sam, and that's where we'll go from there. So I'm very excited for the premise of the show. Baron Zemo is going to play a role in it. We see him in the trailer as well. I wonder how it's going to kind of play out for him, but I am excited about where it's going. We have the WandaVision, which is Elizabeth Olsen and returning as Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, and we have Paul Bettany playing Vision on the show. Now, it's a very funky trailer that they give, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to touch down on this later, so I don't want to get too involved in it, but heavy speculation is that they will both be a part of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So that's the second Doctor Strange movie coming out in a couple of years. But there's some more news on that, and I want to talk about that later. But right now with the show, it seems like they are playing a married couple who are kind of like living in different time or eras of TV. Like it looks like a 50s version where they're both dressed up prim and proper. She's a proper housewife. He's the husband, the doting husband, in his sweater and ties, and but it is clearly Wanda and Vision. WandaVision. So, and then it goes through, I think at one point they're in a Brady Bunch house. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. It doesn't really let on too much of what's going on. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there. She's wearing the Scarlet Witch outfit at one point, so that's going to be cool. And some other stuff. So, but it doesn't really let on too much of like what the premise of the show is. And I haven't really read too much about it, so I'm excited to see where it's coming from. And then you get really nothing from the Loki trailer, other than him speaking like a few lines, and it looks like he's in a prison jumpsuit. So I'm excited to see where that happens, because I know that this is going to take place in a certain point in time, not necessarily present day. I don't know if he's going to travel through time or how this works, because he has the Tesseract that he took during the events of Endgame. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited for all three shows. They're coming on Disney Plus from what they said is coming soon, so we're not really sure. We don't have a date, but hopefully sooner rather than later. I'd love to see what happens. Oh, excuse me. That's what I get for recording late at night. Looking at my notes. But also we got a new, not much in the way of premise, but we got a new Super Bowl ad trailer for No Time to Die, the new James Bond movie. Very excited for this. I love Skyfall. I love Spectre. I love Casino Royale. All of them. They were just all fantastic. I love Daniel Craig as James Bond. I feel like we're getting a new 007 in this. Not James Bond, of course, but a new 007. So I'm anxious to see what they do there. It's a female who plays the role. So, and they have to kind of team up. So, and Rami Malek is playing the bad guy in it, which is kind of cool. It should be something different. like I said, they didn't give you much in the way. Like, I know his the girl he fell in love with and left everything behind with from the last movie is in this one, and she's gonna play like she seems like she's playing some sort of role of like she's abandoned him and he thought she died or whatever, and however it played out. So I have to go back and give the movies a rewatch before this one, but I'm super excited for this. It looks action packed. I'm sad to see Daniel Craig go, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out, like where he goes, when what they do with him, or what they do with the character in general, because they're going to bring him back at some point, and we don't know in what iteration or how. So, with that, there was another trailer I want to talk about that just came out today, and more than just kind of review the trailer, I really want to go over everything I love about this thing. So, before I start, I want to say, like, the Saw movies, they've never really been my thing. I respect them greatly. I like what they were for the time. I've never been like a torture porn type guy. I don't mind the gore, but like, and it's not even like it creeps me out or anything. It's just, I've never seen like the story get that interesting in it. It just always seemed like it was more about the torture or how graphic you could be with it. And I need a good story, man. With that being said, the first Saw I really liked. I thought that had a really good story, but then and the second one was good. And then like, as it went on, it was just more about like the contraptions they were using, and I kind of fell out of it after a while. But the overarching story of Tobin Bell was cool, and I'm glad that I like Tobin Bell as an actor, so it was cool to see him become a horror icon. Now, with that, I am very very pleased that they are rebooting. And now, I don't know how many of you have heard about it, but before, months ago they talked about Chris Rock stepping in as a producer and rebooting the Saw franchise, and Samuel L. Jackson was going to join him. There was nothing else. You knew Chris Rock was going to not just produce, he was going to star in it. So, and I didn't know what to think. I was very like taken aback. Like, really, Chris Rock? Like, I mean, I love Chris Rock. Chris Rock is great, but can he pull this off? Is this something that is in his wheelhouse? Like, I mean, it's a horror movie. Like, I could see him in a drama. I've seen him in dramas. I've seen him. I've seen him do, of course, comedies, things like that. But like, this is horror. It's a crazy transition for some. Like, you can't always pull it off. So was anxiously awaiting to see more from it. And the trailer I was not expecting to pop out, and it just popped up today. And that's why it is my trailer of the week. So definitely go check that out. And so even with all those other trailers, this one intrigued me the most, because basically I didn't know when it was going into it. And now we have this, what looks like a whole different kind of reimaging, but within the Saw universe. And he plays a police officer, he plays a police detective, I should say. And it looks like he has a new, not maybe rookie detective, not a rookie cop, but a rookie detective kind of coming in. And they're doing their thing, and they get called to a murder scene, and they're investigating, and it's a Saw murder scene, but there's spirals. There's like painted spirals around the body that they find, but there's flashes all around, and you get some voiceover. You get Samuel L. Jackson kind of into him. From what I understand, he's playing his father in the movie, so I'm anxious to see how it plays out. Is this a serial? Because he seems to be hunting for the same killer. I don't know if he's still a cop or he was a former cop and now he's back. I am anxiously awaiting to see what happens. So it's called Spiral, from the Book of Saw. So it's kind of like a side quill, it seems. So I'm anxious to see if it does tie in at all with the Tobin Bell Saw movies, like directly, or if it's just somebody who is inspired, because it seems like they're targeting police officers in this. So it gives it a whole new breath of fresh air, a whole new life. You can keep going on with that for a while. Like, why is he going after police officers? This, that, the other thing. Are they corrupt? Is it something new? Is it something different? it I'm really excited to see where this goes, because at one point we get a lot of very cool scenes, but it looks like Chris Rock in a ski mask with two other guys in ski masks, and it looks like they're dressed up in like overalls, but they look like janitors. And he shoots open a door, and they're holding bags, so it looks like it's going to be a heist of some sort. So I don't know if he's a corrupt cop or he was undercover, how this plays into everything. So it adds layers to it, and that's what I like about this. Like with the Saw movies, it seemed like they took the layers away. They were just like, all right, just contraptions, because you knew why Jigsaw was doing what Jigsaw was doing. And they added twists, and that was great, whatever, but it didn't, there was like no real depth to the story, so that's why it was kind of fell out of it. They, like I said, like the twist, like bringing the doctor back, Carrie Elwes' character, and things like that. But this looks like it's a true whodunit. We got to figure out who the killer is, and nobody's safe. And it's done in the same vein as Jigsaw. So I am super excited about this. I can't wait to see what happens. And I like that they call the spiral, and it seems like it's somebody different. They have all the spirals left at all the crime scenes. It does end on a very cool note, a very familiar note. That's why I'm wondering how it ties in everything. And that is Chris Rock's character is handcuffed to like looks like a pipe, like a metal pipe, and in his other hand is a saw. Very cool callback. So, what's going to happen? Is he going to cut his hand off? How's this going to play out? Samuel L. Jackson going to save him? Who knows? But I am intrigued, and that's what this movie and this trailer have done for me. And it's hard to do that with a lot of horror movies that come out, because it's a lot of the formulas that you see in trailers and stuff like that. It isn't always interesting, and then eventually you'll see, and sometimes they're not always that interesting. Black Christmas did that for me. Like I didn't mind it, but at the same time, like it wasn't an overly interesting story for me. But Saw has really kind of revved me up. Like on this trailer, Spiral has really revved me up to go see this, and I can't wait to check out what's going on with it. So like I said, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, go check it out. It's very cool. My trailer of the week, some cool stuff going to go on there. So I am excited. That I want to go on to this week is the Super Bowl for film geeks. It is Oscar week. And if you remember, I did my Golden Globe predictions. But I have not done my Oscar predictions yet. And I wanted to save it for the week before, just kind of touch down on it, because then next week I want to touch down on what won and, things like that. So I'm just going to go by category. List off again who is nominated, who I think is going to win, and who I want to win. So it's kind of predictions and like kind of what I want. So break out your lists. Join me in this endeavor. Let's see if we're right, and then message me or comment below or message me or whatever, and let's talk about it. I'd love to hear it before the Oscars and then talk to you again after and see how we all did. So kind of our own like private little pool. So we have actor in a leading role. We have the nominees are Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. This is a tricky one. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my favorite movie of the year until I saw Parasite. I still love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I think it has a lot more rewatchability than anything else nominated, personally. That's just Tarantino in general, and plus I just love the film industry, having worked on it and recognized things and stuff like that. Even recognize places they shot and such from when I lived out in LA. But, that's why I kind of always like is touching to me. But who do I think will win? I'm going to have to go with Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker. He seems like an unstoppable force, and he did an amazing job in the role. I was not a big fan of the movie, but he is a phenomenal actor, and he did fantastic. Who would I like to see win? I mentioned Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because it would be cool to see Leonardo DiCaprio win. But I'd also be cool with Antonio Banderas because Pain and Glory was a very good movie. Actually, every one of the movies nominated for an actor in a leading role is very good, just so you know. And I would check them all out. But I'd be okay with Antonio Banderas. I like Leonardo DiCaprio, but I think it's going to be Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker. Actor in a supporting role, we have Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is going to win, and if he does, I will be perfectly fine with it. I would not be surprised if Tom Hanks won. But overall, who do I want to win? Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci is he's fellow New Jerseyan. I love Joe Pesci. I've met him. He's fantastic. And I think it would just be great for his truly last movie to come back and, after being retired for so many years and just win, because he did a great job in that movie. Whether you liked it or not, or you thought it was too long or whatever, he did a fantastic job in that movie. Actress in a leading role, Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. I'm watching that this week, so I have to kind of excuse myself from that one. But just based on the scuttlebutt of everything I've heard, I don't think she's the favorite to win. There's Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. I think she's going to win, Renee Zellweger. I think that's my prediction. Who I'd like to win is Scarlett Johansson. I have not seen Little Women, Bombshell, or Harriet yet, so that could change. But as of right now, there was a scene in Marriage Story where she did the whole movie, she knocked it out of the park, but there was one scene in particular. If you ever notice, like in movies, like there's this one scene, especially in Academy Award nominated movies, or any nominations rather, it's just that turn of acting that earns you the prize. I think for the original True Grit, that was when John Wayne put the reins of the horse in his mouth, and he went after the four guys and killed them all and won in the end. That just embodied the entire movie, and it was a scene that was so powerful that I think that's why he won that year. Now, in Forrest Gump, another example, you have Tom Hanks, and for me, this was the most powerful scene, and in a movie that had a lot of powerful scenes, but it was the most genuine. Because if you look at his face in the movie, when he finally finds out he has a son, and he is just terrified to his core and broken up when he asks, is he smart or is he, and he's pointing himself like me, and she goes, no, but it's just, and then he gets that breath of relief when she tells him, no, he's fine. He's a very smart boy, whatever it is. I forget the line she says, but because Jenny sucks and she's the worst character. Right, Penn is great. Jenny sucks. She's a terrible character. But I digress. It's those scenes that are very powerful that come through that win the awards. I think not just the whole performance, but those scenes really resonate with you. Now, this for Scarlett Johansson, she did a bout of acting that was just Jesus. She was talking to Laura Dern's character when they first met in the office. She goes, how you doing? And she's all smiles and joking around, having a good time. And then she turns away for a second, and a single teardrop drops from her eye, and she just covers her face and just starts crying and breaks down. This woman has been through an emotional hell. She's going to know she's in for it more so, and she just truly loses it. And that was a scene that I was like, if she wins because of that. She did an amazing job throughout the whole movie, but that was just, it was powerful. So, my prediction is Renee Zellweger is going to win. I would like Scarlett Johansson to win. I also think it's her time. So, actress in a supporting role. We have Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell. I think Laura Dern will win it for Marriage Story, and I think that would be well deserved. I would like to point out that Scarlett Johansson, although every woman has turned out, like I haven't seen Little Women, I do trust Florence Pugh, and I haven't seen Bombshell. Kathy Bates gives a great performance. Um, Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit was a really touching and powerful um, uh, performance. So I hope they don't split the vote on her, but I think that, unfortunately, I think that's going to happen. Laura Dern, though, from Marriage Story was just truly fantastic. She played a cutthroat divorce lawyer in it, and it was fantastic. Animated feature film, we have How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. I think that Missing Link is probably going to take it, but because it's the last one, I want Toy Story 4. Cinematography, we have The Irishman, Rodrigo Prieto, Joker, Lawrence Sher, The Lighthouse, Jaron Blaschke, 1917, Roger Deakins, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Robert Richardson. All look fantastic. All amazing cinematography. Understand completely, although I think Pain and Glory kind of deserves this, to be nominated for this too. Completely understand why they're all nominated. I will never go against Roger Deakins. I know he's won. I waited years for him to win. I've always been on the Roger Deakins train. So I'm hoping 1917 wins that. He deserves as many Oscars as he can get from now on, because there are so many amazing movies that he did not get them for. He is truly a force to be reckoned with in the cinematography world. Costume design, we have The Irishman, Sandy Powell, and Christopher Peterson. Jojo Rabbit, Macy Rubio, Joker, Mark Bridges, Little Women, Jacqueline Duran, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ariane Phillips. I think that Little Women's probably going to win it. Period pieces tend to do that. I think, so that's my prediction. I want The Irishman to win it. And the reason being is because they deal with so many different timelines. And not timelines, but so many different time periods. And that's just insane. To me, that is an insane amount, and they got everything right. So to me, they got, I would love to see that win. So directing, we have The Irishman's Martin Scorsese, Joker, Todd Phillips, 1917, Sam Mendes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, Parasite, Bong Joon-ho. I would like Parasite, Bong Joon-ho to win, but I have a feeling it's probably going to be Sam Mendes for 1917. I'm going to skip documentary feature because I have not seen any of them, and I don't want to judge on anything that I have not seen. And I'm also going to do that for documentary short subject. I will be seeing them this week, but I have not seen any of them yet, so I don't feel I have the right to comment. Film editing, Ford versus Ferrari, Michael McCusker and Andrew Buckland. The Irishman, Thelma Schumacher. Jojo Rabbit, Tom Eagles. Joker, Jeff Groth. And Parasite, Yang Jin-mo. I think those fast cut movies, honestly, deserve it for me. I mean, so I'd probably say Ford versus Ferrari. Although Joker had really good editing in it. International feature film. I have not seen Corpus Christi out of Poland. Honeyland out of North Macedonia. Les Miserables out of France. Pain and Glory out of Spain. Fantastic movie. And Parasite out of South Korea, which I have not seen 1917 yet, but Parasite to me has so far been the best movie of the year. I am rooting for Parasite in actual Best Picture, so I would like to see Pain and Glory win this, but I think Parasite's going to win this one. And we have makeup and hairstyling, Bombshell, Kazuhiro, Ann Morgan, and Vivian Baker, Joker, Nikki Liedermeyer, and Kay Giorgio, Judy, Jeremy Woodhead, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, Paul Gooch, Arjun Chutin, and David White. No, he wasn't I went to school, film school, and there was David White who was a teacher, but I don't think it was him. 1917, Naomi Donne, Tristan versus Lewis and Rebecca Cole. I'm gonna say it was probably going. Maleficent maybe. I was like movies that really don't have anything. Like you have timelines to work with and things like that. On all these other movies, except for Maleficent's fantasy movies. So I always go for those personally. Um, Music and original score nominees: Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story 1917, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. John Williams. I'll always go John Williams. Music: I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4. I'm gonna Love Me Again from Rocketman. That should win. I'm telling you, that's my pick right there. Stand Up from Harriet. That's a good song. I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough, and Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. I wouldn't doubt it if Frozen 2 won. I wouldn't be upset if Stand Up from Harriet won, but I kind of hope that Rocketman wins. I think Rocketman should have been nominated for a lot more, and it would have been really cool to see. It would be really cool to see Elton John and Bernie Taupin win. Now we're up to Best Picture. I know I've been long-winded, but I'm almost done, I promise. And then we're going to move on to other stuff. So, it's going to be interesting afterwards because I'm going to talk about some great news if you haven't seen it already. Best Picture, Ford vs. Ferrari. I'm not going to keep naming everybody. So Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. I loved every movie I've seen so far. The only two out of this list that I have not seen are Little Women and 1917, which I will be watching both this week. I did not love the Joker. Was not a huge fan of it. It'd be kind of cool to see Bradley Cooper win another Oscar. I would right now. I'm gonna say Parasite. I'm thinking my opinion. Like that's my want. Parasite. My prediction is 1917. I haven't seen 1917 yet, so my opinion might change. But Parasite's really good. I mean, that just kind of hits you in the head. It was just a really good movie. Production design, which is a big one I respect. The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Oh, man, that's a tough one. I want Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I loved what he did with, what Barbara Ling did. I love what they did with Los Angeles at the time. I just thought it was beautiful, and it was just it was terrific. I do think that it's probably going to be 1917 though. So that's my prediction. My want is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Short films, I'm not going to comment on because I'm seeing them all. Short film live action, no. Sound editing, I know it seems like I'm going deep, but these are important things, and Joker has some good sound editing, I'll give you that. They all did. But because, again, it's kind of like a fantasy film, I'd probably give it to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. But Ford vs. Ferrari, I mean, it's a fast-paced movie. That'd be pretty awesome, too. And I have nothing but respect for sound editors and sound mixers. When I took that course in college, that was the hardest course I've ever taken in my life. And I will tell you, I did not think I was going to pass that course. You have to think of every little thing. And I realized coming out of that, I was like, I've got nothing but true respect for the sound teams, but I never want to be on a sound team. So my choice is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Just because it's a fantasy film and stuff like that, it's very hard to come up with stuff. Or Ford vs. Ferrari, I could see winning it. Sound mixing, Ad Astra, Ford vs. Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Very surprised that Star Wars wasn't nominated for mixing, but I'm going to go with Ad Astra because it's, again, even though it's a futuristic movie, it's more of a space saga, science fiction, and I think science fiction, like stuff like that, it's hard to come up with those. So I would go with that. Visual effects, Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Oof. I think it will probably be Avengers Endgame. I'd be cool with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. There was some beautiful scenery in that to chomp at, and they did some great things. Writing, adapted screenplay. I mean, I love the screenplays. I love the writers. The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, and the Two Popes. I'm kind of pulling for either Jojo Rabbit. That's what I want. I want Jojo Rabbit to win. I want Taika to have one. It would be kind of cool to see the Two Popes win too. So my prediction is probably going to be the Two Popes. But Jojo Rabbit, I think, should get it. That deserves something. Jojo Rabbit was a fantastic movie. Writing original screenplay, we have Knives Out, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Oof. Oh, I haven't seen Knives Out yet, and I cannot wait. It drives me nuts that I haven't seen it yet. And I haven't seen 1917, like I said, so it's a tough one, but Parasite, give it to Parasite. Original screenplay, although Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a good movie. And that is it. Those are my predictions, and that is what, it's my predictions and what I would like. So let me know what you guys think. I would love to talk about it beforehand, and then next week I will kind of recap. I'm going to have a guest on, and we're going to kind of talk about how the Oscars went and some other things that are going on. So some big news today I would love to talk to you about that kind of trumped. I will see if I can get to my main story tonight because I put it down on social media, but then this came up and I needed to talk about it. So many moons ago, as you know, before the Marvel train kind of left the station and just went on this powerful journey that we've all been loving, we had many Marvel adaptations come through. TV shows, TV movies like the Fantastic Four movie from the 1990s that was produced by Roger Corman. We had a lot of things, a lot of cool cartoons, stuff like that. But we did not have a joined world. And we didn't have anything good. Well, no, I'm sorry. I will take this back before I say it. I was going to say we didn't have anything good based on Spider-Man, but the 90s cartoon was really good. So, with that, we didn't have any good live-action Spider-Man work. So I'll say that much. And then Sam Raimi came on board, and he gave us the first Spider-Man movie, starring Tobey Maguire, Kristen Stewart, and Willem Dafoe, and a young James Franco coming on the scene. And that movie blew me away. It blew everybody away, because it was just this whole new world. We now have Spider-Man going through the street. We have this very cool look. It was something we never thought we'd get. We didn't think that it was coming our way. The technology was obviously there after we saw it, but it was forced to be reckoned with. And then we got the second one, and Sam Raimi came back for that. And the second one, I think, personally, I still like the second one better than the first, and I loved the first. And then we got the third one. Now, I'm not going to go into all the speculation of what happened. I am a conspiracy theorist in this, in the fact that you can't have those first two movies. And Sam Raimi directed both of them, and they were so good, and they opened up the world so much, and they kind of opened up our possibility to things, because we in between those we got the Fantastic Four movies and this, and it was like you could join these together, and we can get the full universe. Maybe Spider-Man will show up here, and blah blah blah, which we are getting now. You know, thank you to Kevin Feige doing that, and so many more. But Sam Raimi started it all. And I think, to no fault of his own, he tanked the project of Spider-Man 3 because he had stars that didn't want to be in it. He was dealing with executives who just wanted to force feed us all these villains, and I don't think he got to tell the story he wanted to tell. Nobody saw the vision of respecting the source material, which is something he did. He understood these characters. Again, you can't watch the first one and the second one and not realize that he understood the source material, and we have to respect him for that. Now, if you don't know Sam Raimi, and if you I don't know why you're watching this if you don't know who Sam Raimi is, but I'll give you a rundown. Sam Raimi introduced us to so much, but especially of all, the Evil Dead franchise, Darkman, so much more. Like, he's just truly a brilliant force. And if it wasn't for him, the Coen brothers wouldn't be where they are. And listen, they are as talented, if not more so, than Sam Raimi. I mean, but Sam Raimi brought them up with him. We wouldn't have the chin, Bruce Campbell, if it wasn't for Sam Raimi. So Sam Raimi is definitely a geek's. We are fans of his. We love Sam Raimi. A geek's dream and a director. So since then, and he kind of, I feel like after the debacle that was Spider-Man 3, he went on to do Drag Me to Hell and some other things, especially producing, but I didn't think his day was done in Marvel. And when they started doing these movies, I was like, I wish he would get the respect he deserved for what he started, essentially, or what he tried to start, that the executives just weren't seeing, and that he was like 8 or 9 years too early on. So finally, he is coming home to Marvel. He is going to be a part of this amazing anthology of movies. Because we just got word that Sam Raimi is going to be directing Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, they are saying that this is going to be a horror movie, basically. Like, this is going to be what the Marvel's universe's take on a horror movie is. So, they had Scott Derrickson, and I have a lot of respect for Scott Derrickson. He directed the first one. He is a great director. I really like Scott Derrickson. Great horror director, too. So, but he left over creative differences. So who better to get than one of the horror icons, Sam Raimi? And somebody who knows. He's dipped his toe in the Marvel Universe before. He knows the source material. So who better than to bring him in? I'm excited. If not for nothing, we're going to get an interesting movie. A very strange type of movie, pun intended, that works within the character's parameters. But above all else, we're going to get Bruce Campbell in the Marvel Universe. Legit. Can't wait. No, it's just wishful thinking. But I'm so happy that Sam Raimi stepped up and now he's been brought back into the Marvel Universe and he's going to be doing Doctor Strange 2. And I'm just super excited to see where it goes. If it's going to be as dark and horror-esque as they are talking, like I said, what better guy to do it? He can bring the horror. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for damn near 40 years, So kudos to Marvel. Thank you for bringing on one of the best and a geek's wet dream of a director. So we love it. With that being said, I kind of want to save my last one. I was going to talk about convention pricing because it's come to my attention that, and I've known this for quite some time now. I stopped getting autographs from conventions a long time ago. All right, let's get into it. So this is my feelings on it. I'm probably going to touch down on this again in the future because I don't want to just cover this once and then walk away from it because it is such an important thing. I've been going to conventions since the late 90s as a teenager. One of my first conventions, a lot of those were comic book conventions, but then, one of my first movie conventions was Chiller Theater in New Jersey. They had some awesome guests. Remember me and my best friend Lenny, we would go, and there was no real lines. Like, you had some. You had Zachary there. He was like royalty there. He even had the throne. Joey Ramone went. There was just tons of people. Like over time, a lot of the Ramones would like show up and do signings and stuff. I remember first year we wanted to go because we wanted to meet Brian Thompson. Now, if you don't remember Brian Thompson, then you didn't watch Buffy or you didn't watch Cobra, which was amazing in the 80s, and so much more. He is the actor that gets his clothes stolen in the beginning of the Terminator. He is the bad guy who leads the New World in Cobra, who's trying to kill Bridget Nielsen. Truly terrific guy, amazing guy. One of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. He's doing a new movie called Bigfoot, which I definitely want to check out. And he's played multiple roles on the show Buffy, and he's done tons of other stuff. He shows up. Joe Dirt, he played the Buffalo Bill character. Very funny. Anyway, I digress. Brian Thompson, we wanted to go meet him. We wanted to go meet a few other people. John Saxon was there, a few others. I remember for most of them, it was like 15, 20 bucks to get autographs. And you could take a picture on that little wind-up camera. And we went every year. After that, we were just like, this is our thing now. We want to go. We went for a lot of years to Chiller Theater. And we always met. We met Joey Pants there, Joe Pantoliano, also one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Our camera wasn't working, and he sent somebody out to go get us a new camera so we could take a picture with them. Didn't have to pay for that. And again, I think his autograph was like 10 or 15 bucks at the time. And again, this is years ago. It's almost 20 years ago. But, I remember going to Horrifying Weekend, which was a convention it was in Maryland. Lenny and I went, and Julie Benz was there. And this is before Dexter, but it was after Buffy was still on and Angel was still on. So she still showed up. So she wasn't a slouch, and she had been on tons of shows throughout time. But I remember meeting her, and she had a few people, and I stood in line, and she talked for a while. She was a very sweet, personable person. We talked about Buffy, we talked about other things, because she was on Sliders, another favorite show of mine, stuff like that. Just kind of talked about all that stuff. And then at the end, she wasn't charging anything for her autograph or pictures or anything like that. She just said, I am collecting for a charity. I'm not asking you to donate. You don't have to donate to get a picture or an autograph or anything. But would you think about donating this? And I was like, yeah, here you go. And I gave her some money for that. Of course, it was for animals, to save, to help with rescues. And I remember she did that, and she was like, oh, so appreciative of it. Really cool about it. And then, we go on, and so many people were like that. Ashley Lawrence was like that. Felissa Rose was like that. They did not price gouge you. I think at most it was like 20 bucks for everything. And then, over the years, we kind of keep going. I know I'm making a long story out of it. But over time, going to all the different ones in D.C., in Maryland, in Jersey, in New York, in Florida, in L.A., all these different places I've gone to conventions, over the years, it's steadily gone up in pricing, but never that bad for a while. And then it seems like I kind of left it for a little while. I was doing my thing, and I didn't get out to the conventions as much. And then I started working for a website back in 2011 and 2012, and we were going to conventions, and we met a bunch of people. And even then, they weren't really charging that much. I think it was like 30 bucks, which, it seems reasonable to me. At the time, I was like, wow, the price has gone up, but, whatever, it seems reasonable. And now we get to, I started going to the one called Awesome Con, and I don't want to attack it. Awesome Con, I haven't been there in a few years, but it's because they charge an arm and a leg. First, pricing to get in, I remember when it was like 30 bucks to get in to a convention, and even that was a little steep from when we started. But I was like, all right, 30 bucks seems fair for a day pass to get into a convention that you're going to buy things at, that you're going to pay for pictures or autographs. And it was always picture and autograph. If you wanted something else signed, it might have been a little bit more. But if you wanted an autograph picture, the picture came with it. You could take a picture with somebody with it for free. Or it was incorporated in the price, rather. But now, something like an Awesome Con, when we first started going there, it started up maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was a lot of fun. They were really building themselves out. I got some great artwork over here from artists that were local artists that did some great Marvel paintings. Really supporting, and met a lot of the celebrities, things like that. and they were at like $50, and I was like, that's a little steep. I stopped buying autographs a long time ago. It just didn't seem worth it to me. But as I went on, you know, something like an Awesome Con. I also go to Monster Mania Con, which is getting really steep again. Like, they're getting these celebrities that are great, and it's awesome. You want to meet them. I'm sorry, I'm not paying that much for you. I'm really not. It's not that worth it to me, And it's sad to say because I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. And I just found out that they're going to have Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper are going to be there, which I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I got the TARDIS tattoo and everything. So I was excited about that. Then my favorite movie of all time, they're all going to be there. Right? Back to the Future. I love these movies. I have autographs from Thomas Wilson. I have autographs from Leah Thompson. I have autographs from Christopher Lloyd. I've never met Michael J. Fox. I always wanted to. And I was super excited to hear that they were going to be there. I don't know their pricing yet. But I do know that if you want a guaranteed picture and autograph from Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper, it's $500. Once I heard that, I'm like, well then, Back to the Future's out, because Back to the Future is going to be like $800. And it got me really pissed. Now, I don't blame the conventions as much, but they need to put like a stop to it in a way. Now, I understand getting these celebrities out there, but it's almost like these celebrities are going too far. How much money can we make off these geeks? And these are your fans. These are why you exist. And I'm going to say that. Now, whether people agree with me or not, but these actors would not exist without the fans. Back to the Future would not be Back to the Future without the fans. Doctor Who, all of this stuff. It's the fans that drive you. So when they come to the conventions, it is an experience. They love it. They want, like I said, like we went to meet Brian Thompson because Brian Thompson was a name for us. He made us feel something, because Lenny and I loved watching Cobra as kids. And so much more. I loved seeing him on Buffy, and we were just big fans. And when we went, like, it's like, even just kind of go back a little bit, because Chiller Theater also had George Romero there. George Romero is the reason I went to film school at Full Sail University. He knew it. He had visited the school before. I had never been there. I had just reserved my seat to leave, like, later that spring. And that October, he was there, and we waited online. I was going to get my Dawn of the Dead DVD box set signed, and I sat there and I was talking to George Romero, and I was like, I'm thinking about going to film school at Full Sail University. And that man sat there, and he sat with me, and he talked to me about film school, and he told me everything, and he talked me into going, and why I wanted to go, like, help me draw out why I wanted to go and things like that. I'll never forget that. It was one of the most touching moments of my life, and I love that man. And I got to meet him again years later when he was back at the school. Countless times I met Tom Savini. I've even bought him beers at some of the conventions. And I met him at the school again too, because he was another one that was a fan. But it was like, those are the amazing memories. And like, if they were charging $500, if George Romero was charging $500 to see him and get a picture with him and something signed, I would never went to film school, because I would never be able to afford it. And I don't know where they get off. Like, how do you think these conventions work? Like, do you think that we only go there for one purpose, and that's to meet you? And I'm talking to the celebrities out there. Like, is that it? Is it like, in your mind, you're like, oh, they're just coming to see us. We are the draw. No. We go for the merch. We go for all the other stuff. We go for the experience, the conventions, the communal feeling of having everybody together. So to me, I say, how dare you charge us that much? It is disgusting. And anybody who does it is a disgusting person, in my opinion. And I truly hate that it has to come to that. but it's a fact. It's just the way it is. And it really bothers me that I have met all of those actors before. When I met Thomas Wilson at Chiller Theater. I want to say it's 2004, maybe 2000. It might have been 2005, but I think it was 2004. I have pictures with him, sitting with him, talking with him about the movies. That was back when they were personable and they wanted to talk to everybody. And then I have autographs with him, things like that. And I think everything cost me maybe $25. Christopher Lloyd, same way. It was nothing. It really cost nothing. Leah Thompson, it was pictures with her, and she gave me an autograph of what is it? She gave me an autograph, but like I met her during a screening. Like they were screening the 3 movies, and she came to talk, and that's how I got in touch with her. Now, I have not met Elizabeth Shue. I'd love to meet Elizabeth Shue. I'd love to get her autograph and her picture. And I've always, like I said, I've always wanted to meet and Crispin Glover and everybody who was in the movie. That's my favorite movie of all time. I want the wall. I have my shelf over there on my wall. I have my artwork and everything else. So it bothers me that it's going to cost. And I don't have the exact price right now. But it bothers me that it's going to cost so much that I'm probably never going to afford to do it. Because how am I going to afford? Like, they even charge, this is where I blame AwesomeCon, and this is, to me, a bunch of BS. They charge like $50 for a day pass. How dare you charge $50 for a day pass and then charge that much for pictures and such? It just, there's no respect for the fans. It's, how many can we get in? And I'd hate to see it go because I really liked the first few years that I went to AwesomeCon. But if you're going to price gouge and you're going to do that to the fans, I really hope nobody shows up. I really hope you learn your lessons on that. But I know with that being said, it's not going to happen. You know, because here's a guy who almost 20 years ago met Claudia Wells, and she signed a Save the Clock Tower flyer for me. On the back, I have it right there. I love you, 555-4823. And she says, "Dearest Mike, from Claudia Wells." And I cherish that. You know, I had to tell her the number she didn't remember, but I cherish that. And I got to meet her again years later. She was at the same screening as Leah Thompson, and you got some great stories from him. Got to meet him again, and that was a lot of fun. But I digress from that. I want to go back to the conventions. That's the thing that bothers me the most about this is your price gouging your fans. And those are the reason these people are who they are. These are the reason these people show up. They're going to go in there and they're going to spend their money on the merch. They're going to spend their money on all the little toys and stuff that they want. And I don't put that down because, if you see my collection, I've got it all around. But don't disrespect the fans. Lower your prices to a reasonable amount. And that's conventions everywhere. I'm not just blaming this one convention because I see a lot of conventions going that route. Monster Mania Con's kind of going that route. It's truly disgusting that people who work very hard have to go and spend their hard-earned money that much, to do it. And yes, I understand there's a choice, though. They don't have to do it. They don't have to. But like I said, when it comes to the conventions, it's an experience that geeks are able to enjoy now, or out and openly, and like, listen, back when I was a kid, you got beat up for being a geek. This is something that's open to, coming out and doing, and I hate to see it go this route, like, where it's just too expensive. Like, I should not be spending $100 on a Robert Englund photo op and autograph, and then have to go right across the hall and spend $100 on somebody else. It's just not right. And with that being said, I'm going to end the show. But I hope things change. I hope things change for the better. I hope things change for the easier and hard working person. Now, could I afford to go? Sure. I could save up money and go, and it'll be fine. I mean, it's my dream to meet them all and take pictures with them. Will I do it? Absolutely not, because I do not believe in it. And that's because I can't tell other people you shouldn't go do this because they are price gouging you, and then go myself. So, that being said, leave it up to you. Hopefully, we can get some changes made because I don't think it's fair to the fans. That's my 2 cents. That's everything for today. That is the Scene Snobs podcast. Yet again, new episode. Thank you for coming back and watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe on SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you're listening, or on the YouTube channel if you're watching the video. And hit the notifications button because we have lots of content coming out. We have a brand new filmmaking podcast. Just so you write down the list. If you go to scenesnobs.com, we have the Scene Snob podcast, a Marriage Like That podcast. We have the 20-Minute Wrestling podcast. We have a brand new filmmaking podcast called Pulling Focus, which I do with Brian Patrick, who runs the Skyline Indie Film Festival. We got a lot of good things going on there. We have the Married Movie Challenge, and we have the Scene Snob Reviews. So I'm always reviewing new movies and such like that. Married Movie Challenge is movie reviews of older, terrible movies, if you will, between me and my wife. And we've had 2 episodes of that right now, and they've been pretty popular. So we've done From Justin to Kelly in the Room. So we're doing those. We also have another podcast coming out I'm going to be doing with Rob Gosher. And I have tons of interviews coming up because there's a lot of film festivals I'm going to be working and interviewing the directors. So looking forward to it. So please keep in touch. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Scene Snob. Go to the Facebook page. Give us a like. The Scene Snob. Tons of other stuff. So we have lots of content coming out. Thanks very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, whichever platform you're on. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. And I promise I'll have the beard soon.